Welcome everyone, and let's get right into it. If you're aiming for absolute top marks in Cambridge Accounting 9706, you are in exactly the right place today. In this Masterclass Explainer, we're completely stripping away the guesswork. We aren't just reading textbook definitions, we're looking exclusively through the examiner's lens. We're going to deconstruct the exact strategies, the underlying cognitive domains, and the precise formatting required to absolutely dominate one of the most critical topics in the entire syllabus, which is the advantages and disadvantages of different business entities. We are throwing the examiner's playbook wide open today, so get your digital highlighters ready, because this is going to be highly academic, deeply analytical, and incredibly strategic. I want you to really soak in this quote from a recent senior examiner report. The difference between a B and an A-star in accounting often comes down to how well you understand advantages and disadvantages of different business entities. Now, you might be thinking, well, obviously, I know the difference between a sole trader, a partnership, and a limited company. But look, this isn't just about reciting basic definitions. This topic is the high-stakes battleground where the most complex, high-tariff questions, I'm talking about those massive 9 to 15-mark essay questions, are fought and won. Examiners use this specific topic to aggressively filter out the good students from the elite ones. If you want to unlock that top-tier grading band, mastering the nuances of this specific area is quite literally your ultimate key. All right, here's the roadmap for today's masterclass. First, core assessment objectives. Second, the method mark strategy. Third, the top 3 examiner warnings. And finally, mastering comparative analysis. Let's dive into Section 1. Core assessment objectives. To beat the exam, we must first understand the exact architecture of how you're being graded. Okay, here is the theoretical architecture of the exam itself. Every single question you face is targeting one or more of these 3 distinct cognitive domains, also known as assessment objectives. First, we have knowledge and understanding, or AO1. This is your absolute baseline. It's where you accurately define concepts or state a formula. Second is analysis, AO2. This requires you to interpret relationships, connect different data points, and explain the why and how. And finally, the absolute pinnacle, evaluation, or AO3. This is where you are justifying specific recommendations based on a unique business context. Let's be totally honest here. Rote memorization of textbook facts is only going to get you marks in that first domain. If you're hunting for an A-star, you have to demonstrate elite competence across all 3 domains simultaneously. So, what does that actually look like in practice? The biggest cognitive leap you need to make is shifting your brain from generating descriptive answers to generating evaluative answers. To picture this, let's imagine 2 highly capable students in our digital study suite right now. We'll call them Alex and Sam. Alex is incredibly technical. Give Alex a formula and boom, it's 100% accurate. But when facing an open-ended question, Alex writes descriptive answers. Alex will just list basic traits, like writing, "A partnership has unlimited liability." That's AO1. It's perfectly true, but it's just stating a fact in a vacuum. On the other hand, we have Sam. Sam is a creative thinker who loves building arguments. Sam pushes for evaluative answers, which means comparing different approaches, evaluating alternative business structures, and, crucially, providing justified recommendations based strictly on the specific scenario given in the prompt. While Alex is securing a solid B by listing facts, Sam is grabbing the A-star by evaluating context. Our goal today is to combine Alex's factual precision with Sam's evaluative depth. And here is a massive inside tip straight from the principal examiner reports. Cross-topic connections achieve significantly higher marks. The examiners literally cheer when they see you link the advantages and disadvantages of business entities to entirely different syllabus areas. Don't just talk about the legal structure of a limited company in isolation. Connect it. Talk about how a transition from a partnership to a limited company fundamentally alters how capital accounts are structured, or how issuing new equity directly impacts liquidity and gearing ratios. When you build these causal relationships across different chapters of the syllabus, you instantly prove to the examiner that you possess a deep, integrated professional understanding of accounting principles. It is an absolute game changer. Moving on to Section 2, the method mark strategy. This is all about how you process information on the page. All right, we are going to spend some time here because this is vital. This is the strict, chronological, 5-step procedural framework you must apply to every complex question. Let's bring our students, Alex and Sam, back into the picture. They're looking at a brutal 15-mark question. Step 1 is deconstruct the question, specifically the command words. Alex and Sam often debate this. Alex sees the word explain and wants to just dump facts. But if the command word is actually to what extent or evaluate, dumping facts is a trap. We need to deeply contrast these. Analyze means digging into the causes and impacts, the AO2 stuff. But evaluate demands a judgment, a conclusion, AO3. Similarly, explain just asks for clarity on how something works, whereas to what extent is actively begging you to argue both sides of the coin before weighing in. You must highlight that command word immediately. Step 2 is extract data from the stimulus. Step 3 is select your analytical framework. Now, right around step 3, Alex and Sam usually hit a massive roadblock. Alex wants to rush into calculating, while Sam is getting lost in drafting a chaotic, unstructured essay. They're burning time, panicking, and losing focus on what the examiner actually wants. Now, before I step into their virtual session to rescue them from this cognitive roadblock, let me pause for a quick second. If you are serious about crushing your Cambridge exams and want to consistently master these high-level strategies, you need to subscribe to our channel, Ace the Exams, IGCSE O and A levels, right now. Just hit that subscribe button at @acetheexam_IGCSE and absolutely make sure you enable all notifications. We drop weekly Cambridge breakthrough strategies just like this one, and you do not want to miss them. Okay, let's unpause and get back to Alex and Sam. I step in and say, stop. Let's look at step 4 and 5. Step 4 is execute with clear notation, and step 5 is verify and present with correct terminology. Once they slow down and follow this exact 5-step sequence, their panicked, mediocre answer transforms into a flawless, full-mark response. Remember, examiners award what we call method marks incredibly generously just for showing this rigorous logical process on the page, even if your final arithmetic is slightly off. Process is everything.
As part of that process, the exam is going to throw very different data sources at you. You need to handle them differently. If you are given a text excerpt, maybe a paragraph about two partners arguing over admitting a third, your specific extraction skill there is to accurately identify that business context. Your application is to use the correct terminology for that exact scenario. Now, if you are given tables of financial data, the game changes. Your required skill is to interpret the mathematical relationships hidden within those numbers, and your application is to draw hard, evidence-based conclusions. You aren't just a student here. You are acting as a professional accountant analyzing a real-world problem. You treat text like a detective, and you treat tables like a data scientist.
Let's shift gears to Section 3, Top 3 Examiner Warnings. We're going to look at the exact traps where candidates continuously bleed marks.
Here is a direct, burning question pulled straight from the principal examiner reports year after year. Why do candidates consistently lose marks on key terminology? It is incredibly frustrating for graders. The reality is that under intense exam pressure, candidates constantly confuse basic terms. They mix up capital with cash, or drawings with dividends. Or even worse, they arrogantly assume the examiner already knows what they mean, so they just use shorthand. Let me be clear, that is a guaranteed way to fail. The golden rule here is you must always explicitly define your accounting terms before using them to build an extended response. You have to build a solid theoretical foundation first, and then you can start your analysis.
Building on that, here are the top 3 absolutely fatal mistakes directly from the grader's red pens. It's almost as if the examiners set up these invisible tripwires on the page, and every single year, thousands of students happily march right into them. Number 1, answers are just too vague. You cannot write generic, memorized statements that could apply to any business in the world. Examiners demand specific, sharp, analytical details. Number 2, students completely forget format and presentation. Accounting is a professional discipline. It follows strict conventions. If you ignore proper headings, acceptable formats, and clear annotations, you are literally throwing easy method marks out the window. And number 3, perhaps the deadliest of all, responses fail to link to the context. If the exam prompt is about a struggling, family-run retail partnership, do not write a generic, textbook essay about the abstract theory of partnerships. Tie every single point, every single calculation back to that specific retail business and their current struggle. Context is king.
All right, Section 4, Mastering Comparative Analysis. This is where we learn exactly how to secure those elusive, higher-order evaluation marks.
Let's do a quick, interactive visual workshop. I want you to pause and really look at the difference here. On the left, we have a classic vague detail. A student writes, "Partnerships have more capital." Now spot the flaw. It's true, but it's completely hollow. You might get a single lonely knowledge mark for that. Now look at the right side. This is specific detail deeply rooted in context. Unlike a sole trader, this specific partnership's combined capital allows for the $50,000 expansion. Do you see the leap there? That is a top-tier full-mark sentence. Why? Because it actively compares two entities, it references explicit stimulus data, the 50K expansion, and it evaluates the real-world business impact. This is exactly what professional evaluative writing sounds like. If your paragraphs look like the left side, you're hovering around a C or a B. If they look like the right side, you're marching straight toward an A star.
To ensure you're always writing like that right side, we use what I call the paragraph balance formula. Whenever you are tasked with comparative analysis, you must mentally check off this four-part list. First, you must identify both similarities and differences between the business entities in question. Second, you absolutely must use comparative connectives to physically link your thoughts. Words like whereas, conversely, in contrast, or on the other hand. Third, you must support every single comparison with explicit evidence extracted directly from the text or tables provided. No assumptions. And finally, you must draw a definitive conclusion about the relative importance of these factors to the specific business. Is the risk of unlimited liability more important than the benefit of shared decision-making for this specific owner? Tell the examiner what you think and why. That formula right there is exactly how you fulfill those higher-order assessment objectives.
As we wrap up this masterclass, I want to leave you with a critical, provocative challenge. How will you intentionally deploy this evaluative framework on the very next past paper you attempt? Because let's be real, passively watching this explainer is great, but knowledge only becomes power when it is actively applied. Our students, Alex and Sam, finally figured this out today. Alex learned that facts need context, and Sam learned that arguments need structure. So, take the three-step question scan, aggressively use the paragraph balance formula, and constantly scan for those examiner tripwires we discussed. If you apply these frameworks, you will completely change how you tackle your next study session. Now, crushing Cambridge exams requires consistent, relentless strategy. So, before you close this tab, hit that subscribe button for ACE Exams IGCSE ONA levels at @ACEXam_IGCSE. Turn on the notification bell so you're instantly alerted to our future exam hacks, and jump into the comments right now and type out your target grade. Claim it, work for it, and tackle your next paper like a true examiner. I'll see you in the next one.